If it's Tuesday night, that means it's the Team 53 Late Model Summer Shootout from Lanier and Slingshot Racing League. Good evening, race fans. Tonight, I am Ellis Thomas up in the broadcast booth, joined not by Chris Smith, but by Scott Tompkins, who is normally a race controller for Slingshot Racing on Wednesday night. Tonight, we're going short track racing here at Lanier Motor Speedway, just outside, just north of the city of Atlanta, Georgia. And it is going to be a hot, muggy night for these drivers who are going to be lining up to take 150 laps around this track. But it's going to be an interesting night. I know a lot of drivers are had this track marked on their calendars. Scott, talk to us a little bit. I know you took a few practice laps earlier in the practice session for tonight. Talk to us a little bit about what you observed just driving that car around there for a few laps, this late model stock car.
It's not easy. From my limited experience in one race I've had at this track, it's pretty single lane, but if you get a guy on the outside, he can defend, but it's not the fast way around. So passing will be difficult, so we might see some fenders bending here.
Absolutely, and this track has a little bit of banking on it as we watch drivers going out to take just a few more laps of practice before we get qualifying underway. So it's a little bit of banking, and we're going to talk about what that banking can mean for some of these drivers coming on corner exit when we talk about our keys to the race here shortly. But before we do that, just to get it out of the way, let's go ahead and do our typical Slingshot Racing pre-race tradition, the national anthem. We'll be back here in just a moment, and we'll cover qualifying right when we get back. All right, and we are back here at Lanier Motor Speedway right outside of Atlanta. Drivers making their final laps in the practice session before qualifying for the Sim Racing Concepts 150. As we mentioned, 150 laps around here tonight, Scott. And just to recap just a little bit as drivers get ready to make those qualifying laps, last week, race 1 out of 6, we hit Five Flags Speedway for the season opener of the Team 53 Late Model Summer Shootout, and it was all James Ray. James Ray is a driver we're going to be keeping a close eye on tonight in the second race of the season, looking to see if he can come out of the gates even stronger than last week and kind of become the top favorite for the championship. And one of the things that we need to keep in mind of is this is only a 6-race season. So every race matters. There are no drop races. James Ray is really going to have to be on it tonight here at Lanier if he's to kind of become the championship favorite. And with that, unfortunately, we mentioned that Chris Smith not in the broadcast booth tonight. So I'm going to be running the broadcast, and you can already tell I've got a lot of action to cover, a lot of buttons to look at. So please be kind to me tonight on the production side. Makes me really have a lot of appreciation for what Chris Smith normally does up in here. And I am logged into the race as a racer. so I'm not going to be able to view the qualifying laps. But what we'll do while we're waiting for those drivers to make their qualifying runs, we'll go ahead and put the qualifying ticker up top so you can see where those drivers are stacking up here with just about, trying to see if I can figure out, we've got about 3.5 minutes left in qualifying. While we're watching those times up top, Scott, let's talk about some of the keys to success in this race. Pull them up here. It disappeared on me.
While we wait for those, I think the key is going to be big is going to be restarts. Who's going to take the inside outside? Is that lane going to prevail when we get going? Can Johnny Rapp pull off another strategy move and pull off another win?
Johnny Rapp's one of those drivers we're always watching with strategy calls, right?
Yeah, it's managing those tires. The guy will go 50, 60 laps on a set of tires, keep one on the box, and then smoke you at the end while yours are worn out.
And that's exactly what James Ray did, pulling strategy calls last week on that first series of pit stops. He got 2 tires when all other drivers got 4, and it popped him up to the front. He got that track position, and those 2 tires actually held up really good enough to get him into that final pit stop where he took 4 tires, and he was able to basically stay in the lead and control pretty much the final half of that race, leading nearly 80 laps of the 150 last week. So tips for success, big questions we're going to be dealing with. James Ray, is he going to repeat? We just talked about pit strategy. Patience. Scott, how difficult is it to pass in these late model cars on these short tracks?
Oh, it's very difficult. You're all going about the same speed. Just looking at the I ratings here, everyone's I ratings are relatively close, so you know they all have the same skill. So you're going to see that front bumper being used to get someone out of the way if they feel they're being held up. And that entry, who's going to make a dive bomb? Who's going to hit you under entry instead of in the middle of the corner? That's going to be the key for tonight.
Yeah, drivers didn't have it difficult enough with cars on their rear bumpers the entire race. You mentioned banking or this track earlier on. Loose corner exit is something I've heard drivers talking about all day, kind of in the Discord, in the chat earlier. Loose corner exit, these drivers, we saw some drivers really struggle with that at Five Flags. Rye Jones and a few others fell victim to loose corner exit at that track, and I'm sure hopefully not, but I'm sure we're probably going to see our fair share of victims tonight. We mentioned managing tires. James Ray did it really well last week. These late models can eat some tires up, especially over 150 laps. Fuel is not going to be an issue for these drivers tonight, so I'm really curious to see how that tire management plays out. Will we get cautions? The answer is probably yes, and that's going to dictate when and where those drivers take tires. So we'll be looking out for all of that. Just about 30 seconds left in qualifying. I'm looking times that have been put down. Rye Jones is the provisional pole sitter right now with a lap of 13.7. Evan Pienta literally, Scott, looks like about 1,000th of a second behind with a 13.717. That is close, and look, it doesn't get any bigger of a gap. James Ray and Josh Ward, all of these drivers, Scott, within, I believe, is that 6,000ths of a second? I'm not a math teacher, but I think I'm right.
I think you're right. That is one close field we got going here, and that's where that I rating being so similar really comes into play.
Absolutely. So we're going to see some close racing action, as we've really seen the first 2 races of this season, the preseason clash and also the season opening Apex Energy 150 last week. So right now qualifying is over, and as we mentioned, Rye Jones is your pole sitter, followed by Evan Pienta and James Ray. We're going to cover the starting grid right now. Let's see if we can pop it up here. So we mentioned Rye Jones is the pole sitter. What that does, he actually wins the Evan Pienta Pole Award. Rye's going to get entered in along with all the other pole sitters this season to win a free paint scheme from Evan Pienta, who has really designed a lot of the paint schemes you'll see in the race tonight, including those first 2, both Rye Jones and his own car. Starting in 3rd position, it's going to be James Ray. We mentioned last week's winner. Josh Ward, who's really put on a strong showing. He's got some late model chops. We'll keep an eye on him tonight. On the inside of row 3, Johnny Rapp. We mentioned pit strategy is always something we're looking for with Johnny in that Mission Barbecue Dodge. And to his outside is going to be Matt Kuntz. So all of these drivers are looking to have a good finish tonight. Like I said, I'm working a bunch of buttons here. 7th position, Larry Gibson. 8th position, Daniel Berg. 2 slingshot newcomers. Larry Gibson came away with a 4th place finish last week, so really great job on his part. We'll be keeping an eye on him to see if he can keep up that momentum. Well, maybe. There we go. Patrick Colby starting 9th. Patrick Colby had a really good run last week as well as the preseason clash. We'll be keeping an eye on him. Jordan Ives, slingshot newcomer, strong start, starting in the 10th position. Nick DeCesare in 11th. Hey, fun fact about Nick DeCesare, he actually passed 30 cars last week over the course of the race. Clint Walker starting 13th. Kenneth Gallman, 14th. Lee Campbell, 15th. James Suggs, 16th. Brandon Waldrop, 17th, and Scotty Sobczak not taking a lap, but he is going to start the race as we see Evan Pienta roll off, and that is your Evan Pienta starting grid for tonight. So if you're a crew chief, if you're a spotter, what are your final words of wisdom for these drivers, your driver, as you go out there tonight, as they take 2 laps around before the green flag?
You got your mouth guard in because you're going to be getting hit in the back a lot. Because from here, from experience, again, you're not really braking so much into that entrance, so it is just a lift off the gas, roll to the center, and who can power it off. And as you can see, just based off the track wear, the amount of guys that had too much throttle coming out, they're all spinning to that inside wall. It will be fun.
Absolutely. So these drivers, especially the first couple laps, probably going to want to take it really easy. But right now, it's all Rye Jones and Evan Pienta. Your first 2 come to the line. Green flag is out in the Sim Racing Concepts 150. Rye Jones gets the inside line. Evan Pienta really fighting with James Ray right now for 2nd place. Johnny Rapp also on the inside takes 4th position from Josh Ward. Drivers working on settling out single file right now between themselves. Action further back in the pack. Matt Kuntz, Daniel Berg, Patrick Colby all racing pretty hard against each other.
I can tell you that Patrick is a little bit more aggressive in the first 10 laps usually, so I do think he would be moving through this field rather quick.
Absolutely. We got one car hung up on the outside there, really being taken to task. I'm trying to see if I can figure out who that is. 88, that is going to be Daniel Berg. So Berg looks like he's going to be able to get down there after riding for a couple laps on the outside. Daniel lost, looks like about 2 or 3 positions there. So,
and now it looks like they put Johnny Rapp on the outside, who finally was able to get down after losing 2 positions. Josh Ward was able to get a nose underneath him.
So right now, Rye Jones pulling away a little bit. James Ray has taken that 2nd spot on lap 7 of 150 of the Sim Racing Concepts 150. Evan Pienta 3rd, Johnny Rapp 4th, Josh Ward 5th. Larry Gibson, that driver we said we'd be keeping an eye on earlier in the race, having a pretty good run right now.
I'm curious on what happened to that 02 car on the start. Lap 1, it looks like he had some issues because now he's just got the leader that is all over his tail.
Clint Walker is the car you are talking about. Let's see if we can. Oh, we got a. Oh, looks like we got an issue. Who is that in the walls? That is Clint Walker. And I'm not seeing a caution come out yet for the 02 of Clint Walker. You had mentioned he was struggling since lap 1, and that was not where you wanted to be taken off the track. Really having some issues there. I wouldn't be surprised to see if we get a caution here for the 02 of Clint Walker.
Yeah, I can't imagine that right front suspension being very good on that car.
Yeah, he's
aids of who was it? Mikey Waltrip and I forget the other driver at Bristol when they hit that access gate.
He's just doing what he can to get by at this point. Gonna ride on board here with James Ray in the 2nd position, chasing down Rye Jones. James Ray, our driver from Illinois last week, who won the season opening Apex Energy 150 at 5 Flags, has his sights set on a guy who also had a strong run, Rye Jones, who's a Pensacola native. Disappointing finish, but a good run for him last week. Looking to see if he can rebound, but James Ray is definitely going to have something to say about that by the time this race is over, if he gets what he wants.
The thing with Rye Jones is can he prevail with a cool head? The second he has any minor inconvenience in a race, he kind of gets hot-headed and he tries to overreact and overdrive to compensate for that issue. Can James force the issue and have Ryan blow his top?
Yeah, Rye Jones is a passionate driver, and you can see we'll ride on board here, keeping an eye on that 0-2 or 0-1 of James Ray, really pushing him hard, and that's a battle for the lead right now. Going back further in the field, I'm looking at where we've got some good racing going on. Let's go a little bit further back. Everyone is largely single-filed it out at this point. Just scrolling through some of the drivers here right now. You can see James Suggs in that number 20. Had a good run going last week and involved in a couple crashes towards the end of the race. Kenneth Gallman, the driver right in front of him, also was involved in one of those crashes. Hey, appreciate the subscription, by the way, from Angie. Thank you. So Kenneth Gallman having a pretty solid run right now in 10th, top 10 going on for that 71 of Kenneth Gallman. I know we've got some Kenneth Gallman fans in the chat right now. And hey, just to mention, I appreciate everyone's grace tonight. We're struggling a little bit with the broadcast. I'm not usually the producer, but hey, I'm doing the best job I can. I appreciate Scott Tompkins for joining us in the booth right now. We'll rejoin that lead right now. The battle is for third place, though, between Evan Pienta and Josh Ward. We'll go on board at the back end of that Evan Pienta number 55 machine, and you can see that number 92 of Josh Ward is right there, and right behind them, Larry Gibson, continuing to show a lot of speed in this Team 53 late model summer shootout.
Yeah, those three drivers have been the fastest drivers for the last 5 laps or so. They're turning laps faster than the leaders, so it wouldn't amaze me if these three drivers catch up to those 2 leaders real quick.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned those lap speeds. Let's go ahead and pull those lap speeds up. You can see these were the last laps recorded. Jones is fast, Ray is fast, Evan Pienta is even faster than both of those guys. So
yeah, but what I know from Evan, he had some. Whoop, we got a pass for the lead as we're talking about. A little bit of a tap to the left rear does lead.
Go! Look at this view between the 2 leaders, Rye Jones and James Ray. James Ray really pressuring Rye Jones hard.
Like I said, he must have heard the broadcast. He must have it on. All he's got to do is apply that pressure. But from what I know of Evan, he used to burn up those tires. That right front used to always go on him. He'll be real fast early on and fall back through the field. But he has learned to really manage that right front and put in some very fast and consistent lap times. But I see that James feels that he needs to get past Ryan to get away from him. The next thing we got to get worried about is maybe in the next 5-6 laps, are they going to catch lap traffic? And then how much will that affect this drive that's going through the field right now?
And you can see
a hold up between the 14 and the 18. They're side by side. That's probably 5 laps before it becomes an issue for those leaders.
So you mentioned the 14 and the 18. That's Lee Campbell and Jordan Ives racing side by side here into turn number 3. Looks like Jordan Ives is going to get the better of Lee Campbell, and he's going to get that position for the time being, but really good battles going on the track right now. Actually, spoke too soon. That's the 15, it looks like, of Chris Blassie, also working his way by Lee Campbell right now. Nick DeCesare and Brandon Waldrop not too far behind them. So Lee Campbell right now out in no man's land. He's losing several positions. Lee had a pretty good start. Started 15th. He was actually up a couple positions, but right now he's giving up those positions on that outside line. Question in the chat, will it take some contact to pass here? It's possible. It is possible. We mentioned that a little bit in pre-race. It definitely could take some contact. We'll rejoin on that note. Ry Jones still out in the lead, but you can see the gap between the leaders and the lap cars. Now you can see them in the same frame. Chris Pierce in the chat says maybe the question is not if, but how much contact is it going to take? What I know about James Ray and what I've observed so far, Scott, is that if I expected it from any driver out in the field tonight, contact to pass, it's not going to be James Ray, because every pass he made last week at Five Flags was very clean.
Well, I could say he's a better racer than me, because I would have used a bumper by now. My patience is very thin behind guys, because especially you have Evan Pienta closing, you now have lap cars coming. This is going to be a top 5 battle for the first place position with lap traffic, and that's just going to make people more aggressive.
Absolutely. More of the cars are coming into the powder keg. Top 5, just about 1.6 seconds separating the top 5 cars. Ry Jones getting ready to pass the first lap car of Brandon Waldrop in that 50. Waldrop going to remain high, staying out of the way of those leaders. Take a look at the drone cam right now.
I was going to say, let's go to that gearbox cam and look at how close James Ray is on Ry's bumper as he's getting low up, and they touch a little bit. Because you can see what James is doing is he's backed up that entry a little bit more. Through the center, he's really putting that power down. He's trying to get the left sides onto that apron to kind of help make the car rotate. And as you can see, he does push Ry just a little bit to get him out of the way. Now we got a drag race down the front stretch.
Yeah, a little bit of contact there is going to put the 91 up the track. Evan Pienta going to take advantage of that hole that opens up. And I heard some contact. We might have an issue. I think everyone's probably pretty good, though. I'm not seeing any notifications of an incident. Ry Jones slips back into third place from the lead. James Ray is scored as your new leader here in the Sim Racing Concepts 150 from Lanier Motor Speedway outside of Atlanta, Georgia. Your top 5 on lap 42 of 150, Ry Jones. James Ray's in second. Evan Pienta in third. Josh Ward in fifth. Larry Gibson in sixth. Brandon Waldrop is a lap down run in 17th right now. There's Patrick Colby. Patrick Colby coming off a really good run inside the top 5 last week in that number 9 Ford. Scott, have you had the pleasure of racing with Patrick Colby before?
I've had the pleasure. Good racer, hard racer, aggressive racer. But from what I've seen just on the Wednesday nights, he has learned to keep it calm and do a lot better. I think he won the season finale of our normal truck season. And he's gone off. He led some laps last week, if I remember correctly, in the 87 series. Yeah,
he did. He's having a strong run. He's someone who's gotten a lot better over the course of his tenure with Slingshot Racing, from what I have observed. Look at this battle right here. Johnny Rapp maybe having some issues. Johnny Rapp losing several positions. Was in 7th. Now I'm scoring him probably in 8th or 9th behind Tony Caputo on that 42. Back and see if we can see.
He's over-driving that corner just a little bit. He keeps washing up high, which tells me he's either burned up that right front or he's just driving in too deep. These last 2 laps, he seems to get it under control, but you can just see how he might have heated up that right front a little too much.
Yeah, got a little bit high out of the corner and opened the door for Suggs, and the rest is history. But right now, we'll go ahead and rejoin. Riding on board right now with James Ray in that 01. Second place. Trying to navigate this lap traffic right now. Not easy on a short track. It's hard enough passing a car that's going the same speed, but the unpredictability of a car, Scott, that is a little bit slower than you, really difficult. Yeah, you got a car down on the track. That was Johnny Rapp, who we were saying is having some issues. What's going on with that 52? We might get a caution here.
Yeah, not yet. He's stuck down there while we got the
leaders coming around. Major issue. What he's going to try to do is he's going to try to get it up and he's going to try to reverse it. There he goes. So the question is race control going to throw the caution to give Johnny a break here? Yep, caution is out on the racetrack right now. So see if we can figure out what happened to Johnny. There it was. See there, a little bit loose off of turn number 4. looks like it might have been a similar story. Oh, right in the middle of turn 1 and 2 there. All right, so caution is out, and the question is, are we going to see the leaders pit? And we do. You can see Rye Jones, followed by Josh Ward coming down pit road. Evan Pienta also on pit road. James Ray, interesting call here, Scott. James Ray stays on the track.
Interesting. He must have seen something in practice where these tires might not be wearing as much as I'm thinking, but 55 laps, and now you got guys with fresh ones behind you. That's rough. And not only that, the fuel mileage game. I thought you could only go about 60, 65 laps before needing to pit, so he must know something I don't know.
The drivers are actually going to be good on fuel. I think SimHub might have been lying to you a little bit.
SimHub always lies to me. Should have known better.
Hey, and apologies, we did not have the ticker working correctly, but it is up and going at this point, so apologies. But you should be able to track your favorite driver right now. Rye Jones, looks like my timing screen is not working. I'm going to have to exit out of that and pop it back up. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, because it looks like there may have been at least 4 cars that stayed out. You have James Ray, Patrick Colby, Matt Coons, and Nick. I am going to butcher his last name, so I'm not even going to try it. Those 4 guys have stayed out. I'm guessing they're just going to assume track position is king more than tires. That's good news for James because that's 3 cars that Evan and Ryan and Josh have got to pass to get to him.
Absolutely, and they're coming to the 1 to go here. So you mentioned
it's interesting that he took that inside line. You would think of getting the whole shot. You would take that outside knowing that the guy next to you's got equal tires and you can get that nice arc into the corner. But he's staying a lane up to kind of push Patrick in the marbles.
Absolutely. We are green here back at Lanier. There we go. My box was not working for some reason. James Ray is your leader. Patrick Colby in second.
It's a pretty good restart there. Some guys not accelerating as hard. As you can tell, they're on those old tires, but the back of the field is separated by a good second from that front pack. But Evan Pienta has already gained 2 positions and pressuring Patrick Colby now. Evan is doing a lot of what Josh was doing earlier. You can see that he's kind of back in that corner up just a touch. He's getting those lefts underneath the apron, kind of using the banking to help turn him through the corner a little bit more. That will save the right front throughout the course of this run, but he has got to pass Patrick Colby, and let's see if he can chase down Josh Ward and how James Ray and how quickly he can dispense him.
Yeah, so Josh Ward's got some speed. Rye Jones in 4th place. Patrick Colby slipping back to 5th place after that second position restart. Lost a couple positions. We know that Scotty Sobczak wasn't able to start tonight, one of our normal racers. He is a new father on Father's Day of all days. Congratulations to him, and he's wondering, does he still get points for starting and parking? And the answer is yes. So
we have an incident on track. It looks like the 14 of Lee Campbell's gone around this time, and there's another car involved. The 20, it looks like.
We'll see if we can figure out what exactly happened.
The issue is that's not the caution that James Ray wanted, because now that puts those guys on his back bumper. But while we look for the replay, he has pitted along with Josh Ward. So tires, at this point, he feels that he needs them, and those 10 laps that differ from the other guys to him might be a difference.
So, took it 3 wide. I don't think he knew he was on the outside of the 20 of James Suggs there, and Suggs in the 20 and the 14 of Lee Campbell coming together on that lap number 66 caution. We're on 67 here of 150, folks.
It's right about halfway is where James Ray has pitted. His times were very comparable to Evans. He was probably just a couple hundredths off. So we'll see how easy it is for him to get through this field. I think, I think still not pitting that first time is really going to hurt him.
Yes, and now he's kind of created a situation for himself with not being on the same pit strategy as those leaders. He's really going to have to thread his way through some needles here. I would imagine at least passing. I'm going to see where he has scored here. For some reason, my scoring tracker is not working fully correctly.
Looks like he is going to be coming out in 7th. Looks like, yeah, he's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Actually, someone else just pitted. You got Patrick Colby and Johnny Rapp back on pit lane. I wonder if Johnny's just repairing some damage.
Yeah, so these drivers are going to line up double file. Evan Pienta scored as your leader. Ry Jones in second. Nick DeCesare in third. Tony Caputo working his way up several positions, about 8 positions on the night. So we are green.
You see how Evan got that jump?
Yeah.
I was expecting I would have seen James Ray take on that first start by being on the high side.
Really good start for Evan in that 55. Ry Jones is going to be second. Nick DeCesare in that black car, third. Tony Caputo, fourth. Looks like he's working his way by by Nick DeCesare on that restart.
And James Ray is already up to third and putting that pressure onto Ry Jones. There's some great battles throughout this field right now, mainly with Suggs and Larry Gibson.
There goes James Ray taking the second position, making a lot of haste here to work his way up through the field. And right now he's got a good amount of tire advantage on these guys. Going to chase down Evan Pienta. You mentioned the battle going on between James Suggs and Daniel Berg. We'll take a look at that here. Suggs in that 20 white and yellow car. Daniel Berg, I believe, in that 88 red and yellow car. Suggs, got incident. Brandon Waldrop spinning on the front stretch. I'm not sure this is going to bring out a caution on lap number 75. That 50 car has had a couple issues tonight. This one is going to bring out the third caution of the evening. We'll see if we can get a look at the replay here.
From what I can see, it looks like he just might have put the power down a little bit too quickly. Like we said on the pre-race, he just turned it right around. But the issue is to get turned around, you almost lose a lap to 2 laps just trying to get this car straightened out. It does look like Suggs gets the wave around at this point in time. Patrick Colby's back down pit road. I'm curious if Colby got into some sort of incident that we may have missed. It's interesting that he keeps pitting. I'm wondering if he's trying to repair some damage.
Yeah, we'll see if we can find where he might have gotten into someone. Go up the leaderboard.
That car looks clean to me.
Yeah, I didn't see any issues with it. About as clean as the front runners, maybe even cleaner than Evan Pienta, Ry Jones, and Nick DeCesare running up front right now in the Apex Energy, the Sim Racing Concepts 150.
I wonder if he's just trying to make it difficult on himself and come through the field after every caution. Not something I would do.
Driver's working on lining up double file here. Randy Bechtel in the chat says, I think Johnny's lost his talent after winning the truck championship. After that race spin on about lap 50 earlier. Johnny's had a pretty good run of it. This race is definitely not his race, though, Randy. And, hey, we miss you racing with us as well. So thanks for stopping by and watching in the chat and forgiving my poor production skills. But right now, leaders are lined up double file, which means we're coming to the restart. Evan Pienta leading. James Ray, good jump for the number 55 car.
Hey, he did a great move just holding him for as long as possible before jumping, because Ray was on his quarter panel pretty tight. Ry Jones is just making sure that he takes over second place.
Yeah, Ry Jones makes that inside line work. Trying to fight back from a tough week last week, and so far 80 laps in, 82 laps in now. He's doing a really good job, having a great showing. Working on James Ray. Got to be careful, though, Ryan, on that inside line. Loose exit off the corner as Josh Ward is kind of just waiting to pounce on both of these drivers. Making it work is James Ray on the outside, though. Kind of a power move on the right side of Ryan Jones.
Yeah, he's putting down some quick laps. Even on the outside, he is running lap times that are faster than our leader, Evan Pienta. So he's definitely, those newer tires are definitely paying dividend for him at this point in time.
Some tight racing action here between Larry Gibson and Kenneth Gallman. This is a battle for 8th, and I think Kenneth Gallman might be a lap down. He's actually 5th. So Kenneth has slipped back a couple positions since my scoring last picked him up. But that's going to get itself settled out. Larry Gibson's going to go to work on the 88 of Daniel Berg. That's actually a lap car, though. Larry Gibson, go ahead.
Yeah, that top 5, if you go back to 3rd place, Josh Ward is just wearing out Ryan Jones. He's trying to get past. But at this point, you can really see where James right now is burning off the rear tires, trying to get a run under Pienta.
Just as you mentioned, that battle for the lead heating up between the driver of the 55 and the driver of the 01. James Ray making that clean pass so far. Hasn't pulled it off completely, but we mentioned, hey, thanks for the admin box. We appreciate that. Sorry,
that 2 battling has gotten Ryan Jones and Josh Ward back in there. Josh is really putting the power down better than Ryan, so I expect a bumper at some point. I know the history between these two. It isn't pretty, and I know that Josh wants to get past him real quick.
Yeah, let's see if we can go on board and take a look. Just watch Josh Ward, the way he's driving these corners compared to Ryan Jones. See, he's able to get it down closer to the apron a little bit sooner than Ryan Jones.
Yeah, it looks like he's driving in a little bit deeper. Ryan is backing up that corner. He's trying to square it off a little bit more, Ryan is. He's just going in, touch that apex power off, where Josh is throwing it in deeper, trying to get that nose under. But then he's got to really slow up for the apex and just let it roll before throttling out.
Take a look at the battle forecast, if I can get that pulled up. See how his laps are comparing right now. You can see similar pace. Josh Ward just about 100th of a second quicker than Ryan Jones on that last lap. You can see they're almost even that last lap. So running very similar. Slightly different lines on entry, but keeping pace with each other.
Yeah, the tires have seemed to equalize at this point. Josh Ward and James Ray have 29 laps on their tires. Ryan Jones and Evan have 42 on theirs. But they're all running that 13.9s, 13.29 range. So that great equalizer that they have is now worn out. Now it's about who can pressure and drive the better line.
Right now riding on board with Evan Pienta, chasing down James Ray. He hasn't really let him get out of the picture at this point.
No, he hasn't. And again, Evan has become a master of saving those tires. So I wonder, in the mastermind that Evan is at times, if he kind of just let James burn that stuff up to get to him, let him pass, and then reel him back in. Because the lap times has Evan right there with him.
Yeah, hey, if you're rooting for either one of these drivers or maybe another driver in the field, let us know in the Twitch or YouTube or even Facebook chat. We'll try to mention you if we catch it, and let us know who you're rooting for in this race. Right now, Evan Pienta is in second place. James Ray in the lead. Evan Pienta working on chasing down James Ray. Ryan Jones, is your third place runner.
The man that has the fastest lap times the last 3 or 4 laps, Matt Kuntz. Oh, and as I say that, Evan Pienta puts down a flyer trying to get up to the lead. But Matt Kuntz's lap times, when he's not coming up against the bumpers, has been putting down some real quick laps. Right now, they're all kind of just single file it out throughout the field. And Johnny Rhapsody still struggling through the night. That is a big surprise for Johnny. But we do have James Ray and Evan Pienta really putting out a pretty good gap. They got about a second and a quarter over third place. With Patrick Colby closing in on Matt Kuntz, as I was saying that Matt Kuntz is putting some good lap times down. Patrick Colby's coming.
We'll take a look at the battle forecast between those two drivers, Matt Kuntz and Patrick Colby. You can see Patrick Colby's got the speed advantage there by about 700ths of a second on that last lap, and he is coming up a little bit. Right now, fairly similar pace, but Patrick Colby maybe losing a little bit there, actually.
Yeah, he looks like he might have burned that right front up because he's not getting in the entry of the corner real well anymore. You can see how he just can't get that car down anymore. And that is leaving the door open for the 42 of Tony Caputo to try to get underneath him. But the pressure for the lead, Evan is starting to roll that center on James and kind of getting a nose under him.
Yeah, though, very close. Oh, he gets into the back of him. James Ray, your leader around. Evan Pienta into the side of him. Caution is going to be out on the track, and that is a race changer right there. That is a race changer right there, Scott. We'll go ahead, see if we can get the replay cooking on that. Give me just a second.
Like I was saying, he was rolling that center a whole lot better than James was, so he was really close in that time. But that was just a little bit, personally, of an impatient move. He was trying to just get that center rolled real well. We'll see here on that replay. He really rotates right into that apex corner there, gets the left front on the apron to turn, but he picks up that throttle just before James does, and around he goes.
Let's see if we can catch the on board here with Evan. Yep, you mentioned you just rolled a little bit better through the center, and that was enough. So right now, drivers coming down pit road. Evan Pienta is who you're watching. Rye Jones also coming down pit road. It looks like we've got the majority of leaders right now on pit road. James Ray, I would imagine, is going to have to come down pit road just based on maybe some of the tire damage that was done due to that spin, but...
See, if I was him, I agree with him here. I mean, the rear tires haven't really been that much of a factor. It's how much have you worn out that right front. If he can keep that thing rolling, he has about 5-7 cars maybe before he gets back to these guys that just pitted. We saw that tires do wear out after about 10-15 laps, so he might be able to keep the run going.
Several cars trying to catch. The leaders had a little bit of a contact there right now, trying to see who we've got. Pace truck peeling off. Leaders come to the start-finish line. Scott, you might have to help me out a little bit with leaders right now because my scoring pylon is not working.
Who really took the run off there. He was the leader on this restart, followed by Nick. Looks like even my scoring might be a little off because it has James Ray's third.
He's coming though. And James Ray is scored now in the 4th position. He is making haste coming through the field. Just with about 35 laps to go in the Sim Racing Concepts 150 after this lap number 115 restart.
You have Pienta back even on pit road. I wonder if he got caught speeding while we're under caution or an unsafe pit exit that's causing him to pit. But we do have Matt Kuntz and James Suggs, first and second. That's very impressive.
Look at Josh Ward with that dive bomb down to the apron there for about the 6th position, going for 5th on Patrick Colby. That might have taken Colby by surprise. But you mentioned it all really Matt Kuntz right now.
Yeah, well, it really shouldn't surprise Patrick. I mean, we got guys on a lot fresher tires. I think actually they're both laps down, so that is the lucky dog position between Patrick Colby and Josh Ward. So that is a very coveted position here because wrecks are coming aplenty. Yeah,
you got some really fast cars on the track tonight. Just about 6 cars on the lead lap. And hey, shout out to Lee Campbell, last car in the lead lap, running in 6th place.
Oh, contact with Johnny. Josh gets back there, trying to go 3 wide. Dive bombs with 29 to go. We're starting to come through.
So we'll hit this drone cam. You can see Johnny Rapp on the outside. He has not been a stranger to those marbles up at the top of the track tonight, Scott. You can see him really slow, really struggling. James Suggs.
He's just trying to add some rubber to get some better speeds out of those.
It's a good strategy. It's a good strategy call. I sense your sarcasm. James Ray getting passed right now by Patrick Colby, but that is not for position. You mentioned Patrick Colby going to get his lap back to see if he can get back on the lead lap. Sitting 7th position right now, the first car a lap down.
Ooh,
Kuntz gets into the wall a little bit. Just about 25 to go, and Matt Kuntz definitely grabbed the wall that last time by.
Yeah, he's kind of worn out that right front as well. His entry's becoming a little higher. His exits are just coming a little bit closer to that wall. And you can see as James is just getting into turn 1 a whole lot better than he is.
Oh, we got a car around, it looks like.
Yeah. Oh, and Pienta just avoids it.
That might have been the 71 of Kenneth Gallman. I'm not completely sure. We're going to take a look. See if we can get a quick replay action on that. Let's find out what happened to Kenneth Gallman. Oh, yep. Might have gone too far. Let's see if we can follow him through some of these corners. Tony Caputo looks like he might have just had a little bit too good center travel through that corner. A little bit more speed and got in the back of that 71.
Yeah, it looks like we have the 0-1 of James Ray Penning now, so he's maybe hoping to get through that field with 23 to go. That will be one tall order, but it would put him in 8th place.
That is a really tall order. Yeah, there are only a few cars left on the lead lap right now, but that's a gutsy call. This restart's probably going to be, as you mentioned, with about 21 laps to go. So watching James Ray get 4 fresh tires right now, and that's going to be interesting because Matt Kuntz, James Suggs, Nick DeCesare all on 50 lap or older tires.
It's going to be tough. We saw maybe 15, 20 laps. The degradation of the tires really came in and it leveled the field out. You have Rye Jones and Patrick Colby at that cusp of 20 laps. Can Rye Jones pass the 3 cars in front of him and get to the front and try to hold them off? Or at this point, does James Ray have that same strategy as last week and he's just going to pull another one off?
And he is so good right now. He's going to have a lot of speed. If I was Matt Kuntz, I would definitely probably be concerned looking at my rearview mirror, particularly about in the 6th, 7th position with James Ray.
I would be as well. These guys have got to start copying his pit strategies. Apparently it might work for 2 weeks in a row. Not even that, just for defense in general.
Lining up right now, Matt Kuntz, James Suggs, 2nd place, coming to the restart here with just about 20 laps to go in the Sim Racing Concepts 150 from Lanier Motor Speedway. Good jump for Kuntz in the 13. He takes the green flag. Rye Jones going to take advantage of that hole that the 20 of James Suggs opens up into turn number 1.
Yeah, he needs that kind of a jump, and for Ryan, he needs to get through. We are 3 wide coming off of turn 4. Campbell, James, I can't tell who that car is on the inside, but 3 wide off the corner.
That is Kenneth Gallman. He was the car who brought out that last caution. We saw Lee Campbell get into the wall just a little bit. Evan Pienta also on that 55 trying to work his way back up through the field despite being a lap down. Great racing action here.
Caution, and he's going to have to catch Josh Ward, which I don't think is going to happen for Pienta.
Oh, Ward goes around. Several cars involved in a crash. Rapp, the number 76 of Larry Gibson. Was that James Ray in that? Last week's winner.
Ooh, Josh Ward turns around into a wall. Unfortunately, Josh Ward was turned by James Ray as he was trying to get underneath him. They were both on the apron trying to get past another car, and Ray just turned them, and then unfortunately Ray gets turned by Suggs.
It looks like Suggs might have pushed Ray into the number 92.
Oh, let's take a look at the replay.
Yeah,
I might have missed that part of it.
Well, let's see if we can get a better view here. Take a look right in the middle of the screen. You can see the...
Yeah, it was kind of a bumper car game.
Yep, I think the 01 got checked up for the 92, and Suggs got into the back of the 01.
But that's where, when we have, at that point, 16 laps to go, people are pushing, they're driving, they're trying to go. That's where those bumpers start becoming chrome. The give and take is now gone, it seems, at this point in time for them.
Yeah, so to answer the question earlier about patience and whether or not it took contact to pass some cars, I think we've had our answer tonight, and it's a most definitely yes. Right now, just leaving that current top 10 stints on the board, you can see Matt Kuntz and James Suggs working some pretty old tires. The clear advantage right now is with James Ray, though, Scott. Those new tires, we're going to see how those play out here.
Well, he did spin him. I don't think that's really going to hurt him too much. He's still the man to watch at this point in time. But for Kuntz, it is going to become, can he get another good jump? If he gets another good jump and can just pull away, he might be able to pull it off. We're seeing that James is having an issue getting through traffic. No one is giving him any give at this point in time.
Looks like these leaders are going to line up side by side. Matt Kuntz still scored as your leader. Rye Jones is going to be in second. Pace Truck leads him around. This is going to be a restart with about 10 to go on the nose. So all rules are out the window here. Drivers going for the win. Matt Kuntz, Rye Jones, Nick DeCesare, Suggs, all. James Ray could make a claim to the number one spot here in the final 10 laps of the Sim Racing Concepts.
Hooks it into turn one. But Kuntz does keep it clear. He doesn't have that same jump he had the last time. But James Ray is held up behind Patrick Colby. He's just not getting that drive off.
The drone cam here, you can see Kuntz really carrying a lot of speed despite being on those older tires.
The 50s round once again. But this might be the best thing for Matt Kuntz. And I know for fans it's not the greatest thing to see all these cautions. These guys are great drivers, but for Matt Kuntz, he is loving this. It is keeping that tire advantage way behind him.
So it looks like that 50 slid up the track a little bit in front of the 88 and just really nowhere to go. That's kind of the story we've seen all night long, Scott. Kind of game of bumper cars out here. Someone slides up in front of you, you're there, there's really nowhere to go. If you put on the brake, someone's going to tag you from behind.
Well, that's what it was. He went in a little bit hotter, or the guy in front of him slowed down just a little bit more than he thought. He checked up, but by that point, you get the accordion. That three or fourth car back just has nowhere to go, and they play bumper cars.
So we've got just about 6 laps to go. This is probably going to be a 3-lap shootout. I think we'll probably get the restart in before the green-white checkered, but you mentioned it. This is really good news for Matt Kuntz, who's on these older tires. Heat cycles are something to consider. In the past probably 30 laps or so, we've had a handful of cautions that have really helped those tires probably maintain a little bit of their speed, at least later on in their life cycle.
They have. He is coming up on 80 laps on this set of tires. I can't imagine being 80 laps on a set of tires right now. And his lap times are about half a second slower than Rye Jones. So it's all about the restart. If he can get that jump, he's in the catbird seat of being able to just defend as he needs be.
And Matt Kuntz, if you had asked me coming in tonight, would Matt Kuntz be sitting in victory lane or have a chance at it? I love Matt. He's a great racer, but he wouldn't have been at the top of my list to be leading with just about 3 laps to go. But, hey, he proved me wrong. I get proven wrong a lot. This is certainly one of those moments. They're going to come around here. Drivers are going to line up double file. This is going to be a restart with 2 to go. It's not officially going to be scored as a green-white checker, though.
No, but Matt has always been good in cars that drive a little bit looser. When we raced against him in the 87s, he was extremely good in the 87s. Next gens, which are very tight, he had some issues with. These cars are loose off. It's about throttle control.
2 to go.
You can see it here on that restart.
Kuntz gets a...
control comes into play, and he gets a good restart, but not as good as the last one.
Oh, Jones is not letting him go. Jones is not going to let him go.
Back in the back with Lee Campbell. Coots maintains the lead through the scoring stripe.
And I don't think they took the white flag. I'm not sure if they did or not. So this
No,
is
they did not. The pace truck is out. We will get a green light checker.
This is a stack up. It looks like we already saw them stacking up. Looks like 76 of Larry Gibson. I don't know if that was intentional or not.
It looks like they're checking up on that restart there, which looks to be interesting. But then no, that looked to be maybe a little intentional, or he just forgot where the brake pedal was.
Yeah, I'm gonna say intentional on that, but I'm not inside that car, so.
Yeah, we're not inside that race car, but I definitely know what intentional looks like. or did that car there just really stab his brakes way too hard? But either way,
Matt.
20 miles an hour faster.
Matt Kuntz, our leader, is just screaming for this race to be over. Right now, that's going to put 7 cars on the lead lap. I'm not sure if Tony Caputo is going to be our lucky dog or not.
He did get the lucky dog.
Okay, so that puts 8 cars on the lead lap. Matt Kuntz is your leader. We mentioned he's got old tires. Rye Jones looking to capitalize on that. Nick DeCesare in 3rd. Patrick Colby in 4th. James Ray in 5th. Actually, sorry. Patrick Colby's in 5th. James Ray is in 6th. Gallman in 7th. Tony Caputo in 8th. Our final car on the lead lap. And James Ray, really, we haven't seen him be able to come through the field. I think he's probably got some damage from a couple crashes ago. But right now,
probably between crashes and then the number of quick cautions we keep getting.
Yeah, this is a little bit surprising. We went pretty good last week without cautions. Obviously, every racetrack is a little bit different. But hopefully we can finish here with a good, clean finish between these leaders and these cars in the back. Maybe take it a little bit easier on each other, show each other a little bit of grace. Pace car peeling off. Matt Kuntz inside of the leader right now, trying to get a jump on Ryan Jones. Great restart for the driver of the number 13. You couldn't look for better. He's got to make it around 1.5 more times if he's going to see this thing through the victory. But Ryan Jones, that driver of the number 91, looking like he wanted to put the bumper to the number 13 of Kuntz. Kuntz doing everything he can do to get away. 1 lap to go. White flag is out here. Kuntz hanging tough. Oh, Jones is loose. Is he going to drive up into him? Can Kuntz hang on to it off the corner? Kuntz gets it. I'm not sure who got it.
From the scoring, it is showing Kuntz is the winner.
Oh,
but
man.
That is a finish for the ages right
wow.
there.
Hopefully we didn't want to blow anyone's speakers out with that. We'll go ahead and take a quick look. Scoring is going to confirm who the winner of this race is, but we're going to take a look at that photo finish. Oh, man. I don't think I could have scripted it any better here. See if we can get a better look. Maybe this will.
Yeah, we can see Kuntz hitting the wall there, just trying to get everything he can.
Oof. I don't know.
Oh, it looks like it did give it to Kuntz, but that
wow. Man, I don't think I've seen a closer finish than that. I'm looking for the scoring data right now. It is showing me 0.003 of a second in terms of the margin between the leader you can see there in that black and blue number 13 car and Rye Jones in that number 91 purple machine. Man, I know if you're Rye Jones right now, you're probably bummed about that finish in second, but based on what happened last week, got to be happy about that. Matt Kuntz, this would go down as the closest finish in slingshot racing history. So we're going to see.
Great run there. Even just from that photo there, those cars are blended. that is a finish of the ages.
All right, so we're going to hear from these first 3 finishers. And, hey, if you are still watching, I want to appreciate you being patient with us tonight. I know it wasn't your typical broadcast crew. I was running the production on my side of things, and you could probably tell. But, Scott, first of all, thank you for being my beacon and my light as the race went on. So let's go ahead and see if we can pull our third-place finisher. I'm showing James Ray in the 3rd slot. Is that correct, Scott?
That is correct. We got Kuntz, Jones, Ray.
All right. Hey, James Ray, this is Ellis and Scott up in the Slingshot booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Wow. Well, you weren't necessarily right up on that finish. You couldn't see the line, but that was a great finish for sure. 3/1000ths of a second, closest in Slingshot racing history. Talk to us a little bit, though. Going into tonight, coming off a victory last week. First of all, congratulations on bringing it home third after a really eventful night for you in that number 01 machine. Talk us through it. You made an early strategy call that was kind of contrary to what everyone else did. Did you feel like that played out in your favor, or it caused you some issues?
Oh, that caused me some big issues, but I really didn't think everybody's going to pit there on that first one. And I didn't really think they'd pit because of our pit road being so short that you could go a lap down if you were towards the back. So I was hoping we'd have more cars stay out and I get more of a gap there, but it didn't work out my way.
Well, you still managed to finish third. It seemed like it was a little bit more chaotic out there tonight. Of course, it was the night I was running the production in the booth, so I had a lot to follow. But it felt a little more chaotic. Did it feel that way out on the track in the car?
Yes and no. I mean, what happened to me was racing. I was having to let it roll so much. I don't think Evan meant to do that at all. I mean, there was nothing he could do because I kind of had to let it roll and I was waiting on it. I seen it coming. I just couldn't save it.
Well, we know you had your fair share of predicaments on the track tonight, but you brought that 01 machine home in third place. Great job. You got any shout outs before we let you go?
I'll shout out for you guys putting this on and broadcasting it, and then Adrenaline Spikes Designs that does all my paints for me, man.
All right. We appreciate you, James Ray. Third place finisher tonight here at Lanier. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right. So that was James Ray. We're going to bring in Rye Jones hopefully we can get Rye in here. Looks like he's having a conversation with Matt Coons in their channel right now. Let's go see if we can move him up. Rye Jones, Ellison Scott in the broadcast booth. You got a copy, my friend.
Yeah, I do.
Well, I sense the disappointment in the tone of your voice.
I'm actually very not disappointed. I'm disappointed in myself last week, but this week, I'm not disappointed. I definitely wanted to win there, and I, looking on my end, I was like, I had to have had it.
It
I
took
had
us
to
a
have it.
minute, man. It took
And
us a minute.
I could not believe it. We crossed the finish line and it still said I was second, and I was like, "What?" Because I couldn't see him. Like once we crossed the finish line, I couldn't see him, so that's when I thought like I had got him. And I was just like, "Man, yeah, I had to have won that." And I went and talked to him after the race. He's like, "Yeah, I just gassed it." I was like, "Well, so did I." So it turns out I couldn't see him in the front or back because we were just dead even. And so I hope it put on a good show for everyone. That's really what it matters.
We had
Yeah, that
we
was
had
a
to go
great
back and
show.
watch it.
But Ryan, I got a question for you. Tell me about that first run. You got that pole. You were quick. You pulled out real hard, and James closed in. Do you think you just burned it up a little bit? Is that something that helped you later on when we had to do these closing laps?
Yeah, I think so. I know Evan has been better than me on a long run at these short tracks for years now. I knew he was going to be a little better on the long run, but I was going to try and base it off of him. And James was coming on me fairly quick after about 40 laps, and I knew I was starting to eat him up. And I just tried, and once he started catching me, I got too aggressive and I started making mistakes in the corners, and I kept looking at my rearview mirror too much, and that kind of killed me and caused me to race too hard. And yeah, so that was where I burned him up. And so I just told myself, all right, I need to learn, I need to work on my leading skills. I don't lead very often. I wish I could lead more. Yeah, it definitely helped. And taking the two tires, you can't take four under caution here, unfortunately. The pit stops are so slow, you'll go a lap down. So you had to do just two tire stops, and you got to make the most out of it. And I'm really, I love Evan. Man, I'm so annoyed at him after that second long run caution came out with him and James, because I got around both of them and I was gonna pit. And he starts hauling his butt ahead of me as I'm trying to go. And I'm like, "What are you doing?" And it made me miss pit road. So that's how I fell back, and it killed me there. So I was like, "All right, well, I got to do this the old-fashioned way and try and catch up." And uh, luckily, there was a lot of people lap down there. I guess I don't know what happened, if it was from the pit stop cycle or something, but it caused people to go a lap down. And I got back up front pretty quick, and the short cautions helped. And there I was in third, and I was like, if the long run came, I knew I could beat Matt because Matt didn't have any tires on him. But the cautions kept coming, kept cooling the tires, and yeah, he just held on with all he had.
Hey, man. Well, you did a good job. I know it's a great rebound from last week. We're glad you're back. Got any shout outs before we let you go?
Yeah, you guys as always for putting on a great show. I'm definitely gonna watch the replay on this one because
Hey,
golly, I can't believe I didn't
well,
get that.
I keep on saying it. Enjoy my production skills tonight. Chris wasn't in the booth, so.
Oh, I bet that means it was better, right?
Yeah, sure, sure.
Okay, Chris can slap me for that one later. But no, thank you guys. I think I really got to give credit to Johnny and Evan. They've been helping me a lot. Johnny, he helps me as a person more than anything, and then Evan's the one that kind of tries to help me out on the track a little bit. So I'm really grateful for them, and I'm looking forward to next week.
Awesome. Well, we will look forward to seeing you out there next week again. Second place finisher, Rye Jones. Have a good evening, Rye.
Yeah, thanks, guys. You too.
All right. So you heard from Rye Jones, and then you're going to hear from the other side of that photo finish we've got posted on the screen right now. We're going to go ahead and bring in Matt Kuntz to the broadcast booth and talk to him about that crazy finish. Hey, Matt Kuntz, this is Ellis and Scott up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
I do. How you guys doing?
Oh man, I've still got this. This photo at the line, 3/1000ths of a second. I don't have the data in front of me, man, but I know that is the closest finish in slingshot racing history. Oh man, I said it in the broadcast. If you'd asked me if Matt Kuntz was going to be in victory lane at the end of the evening, no offense, I love you, but you weren't at the top of my list tonight. Talk to us about, first of all, let's talk about that finish. We'll get to everything else after, but walk us through the final restart, those final 2 laps. We know you got a good jump, but you couldn't get rid of the number 91.
Yeah, I mean, Rye just put up a great fight there. I tried to do everything I could coming off the line, and I knew if I could just stay low, I was hoping for the best. Someone came out of the pits, and I got a little squirrely, and he got under me, and then I just knew that if I could pinch him as much as possible, give him as much pressure as possible, that hopefully I could stay in front.
Well, yeah, you did a good job at keeping him at bay. Even on that final corner, kind of coming out and tapping the wall a little bit with a little bit of contact, you still had done enough work before that to hang on to it. So, one of the biggest questions, was there a little fear that you might get the rear bumper? Or he might get the rear bumper?
I think that's always a fear in short track racing, right? I was concerned about my tires. I think it had been 90 laps or so since I pitted. And I'd only taken rights, I think, like everyone else at that point. And so I just was concerned I'd spin the tires or just plow through one of the corners and let him get to my bumper.
I was going to ask, was that a strategy move that you had going into the night? Or was that just the way these cautions fell? You just kept riding with it, seeing the tire wear?
Yeah, so I wanted, when most of the field pitted, I just decided, a track position. It is hard to pass. So I stayed out, and every restart, the tires just cooled down enough under caution that they felt fresh enough to continue racing afterwards. So I just kept pushing and pushing as long as the tires felt good, and yeah, it worked out.
Well, couldn't happen to anyone better. Matt Kuntz, we're glad you're part of Slingshot. Glad to see you get a win here in that number 13 car. Congratulations to you. Any shout outs before we let you go?
Yeah, I mean, thanks to the team owner who unfortunately couldn't finish third. He got swallowed up a little bit there. And and to the Charmery, hopefully they send me some ice cream for the victory.
You deserve it after that one, my friend.
It's
Congratulations.
going to be like Cheddar's, where we mention your name on Monday, we get free ice cream?
Yeah, I wish. I wish.
All right, man. Matt Kuntz, tonight's winner of the Sim Racing Concepts 150. Congratulations. I'm going to throw you back down into somewhere. I'll throw you into the general.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right, Scott. Well, man, we've been replaying that finish on the stream, and Tonight had everything. It probably had a little bit too many cautions for my liking, but that's short track racing. We saw that comment made by several people in the chat over the course of the race. The short track racing. We talked all night long about what it was going to take to get by cars and make some passes tonight, and we saw a little bit of log jams and bumper cars going on through both turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. But in the end of the night, Matt Kuntz, impressive. Fun fact, don't even look. Don't look. See if you can guess. How many laps did Matt Kuntz have on his tires at the end of that race?
So from what I remember seeing, 94 laps, I believe, is what he had.
You would be correct. 94
Yeah,
laps. Actually, it's showing
that's-
89, but I think it's not calculating right. I think
it's
it was
94 laps on that right-hand side, but that puts 150 laps on those lefts. Because he mentioned he never changed left side tires.
I can't believe it. I can't believe Kuntz was able to hang on to it. Really good job as we watch the finish one more time here. Hey, Scott, you're going to be race controlling a race tomorrow for Slingshot Racing League. The Apex Energy Throwback Series is taking those 87 cars to Rockingham. We can tune in at 8:30 Eastern Time on all of Slingshot Racing TV's platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch as well. Any final thoughts before we end tonight's broadcast?
No, I got serious PTSD problems last time we went to Rockingham. But those 87s at Rockingham, they are going to be a handful. You want to see guys sliding. You want to see tire wear. You want to see some real chrome bumpers being put to people's real chrome bumpers. Tomorrow night's going to be the night you'll see it. And I don't think it's going to top this finish. They can prove me wrong, especially if Aaron Smith comes back. But it's going to be one hell of a race.
Absolutely. And we'll look forward to it. We'll look forward to seeing you in race control. Everyone, as we mentioned, we appreciate everyone just sticking with us tonight. Some technical difficulties on the production side of things from me missing Chris tonight. But hopefully we'll have him back next week. Appreciate you, Scott, for filling in. Great job doing that on the fly for us. And, everyone, we appreciate all our reviewers. Have a good evening. We'll catch you tomorrow night.